Miss Marsha Johnson.
I don't have room.
You don't have none? Michael.
Yes, sir. Okay, back to page 50. Goes, item number 2. Ready to address item number 1. Inform the board that the restoration plan for Island View Park will be published as part of the Federal Register today, as the funding for the restoration is coming out of some state-controlled BP funds. Alan will attend the public comment meeting on December 14th, which will be in Panama City on behalf of the board, as he has the most knowledge of the project and can answer any questions. The DEP called and suggested that Alan attend the meeting in the event there are questions. The DEP supports the restoration plan as developed. If all goes well, the Island View plan, as well as many other state plans, will be submitted to the trustees for approval in January, with the expectation that restoration could start in the spring. The board has previously agreed to Mr. Doug Hadaway of TPL to handle the implementation of the restoration plan. So as soon as the plan is approved, the board will then enter into contract with TPL for the work. Included in the restoration plan are funds for 10 years worth of operation and maintenance, so the development and maintenance of the park should not cost taxpayers any money for the first 10 years.
One of the benefits of going through this restoration is that we don't spend any taxpayers' money to get this park up.
Right.
10 years. It's pretty good, commissioners. Inform the board that renovations on Fort Coombs Armory are progressing. The repaired windows have been returned to the building, and the ductwork for the air conditioning system is being installed. The interior wall treatment is being nailed up in the new handicapped restrooms. The latest estimates for the completion of the project is mid to late January, and it is because of the doors. That's what's slowing the project down. I checked with Mark.
There's some problems with what?
The doors. The
Oh,
company
really?
that's building the doors, yeah, Old San Juan, I think is the company.
Yes, San Juan.
Yes, San Juan, my
Okay.
bad, thank you. It's taking some time there.
It'll be by mid-January, you said?
Mid to late January, sir.
We started planning for the Martin Luther King celebration to take place in the
Chapin building.
Okay.
Yes. Next item, inform the board that the Mobile District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has extended the public comment period for the draft EIS and water control manual of the Apalachicola, Chattahoochee, Flint River Basin an additional 45 days until January 15th, 2016. I quote, Mr. Robbins, he's the Chief Public Affairs. We have received several requests from the various stakeholders throughout the basin to extend the public comment period to allow them an opportunity to completely review the documents prior to providing comments. Therefore, we've extended the comment period for an additional 45 days. That should tell you just how popular this thing actually is. Skip 5, did 5, we did 6. Item 7 is to remind the board that the December 15th meeting, which is the next meeting, will be in Carabel at their City Commission meeting room, and it will start at 10 a.m. And I have one more item. Our resolution this morning needed a motion and a second to approve. We got all caught up with Mr. Rican, how good of an employee he is.
I approve. Yeah.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? And I hope,
That shows the end of my report.
Sportsman's Lodge boat ramp, we gotta get somebody to fix it. Down at the end, it's pulled Ricky Banks' whole axle out from under his trailer.
Which one are we talking about?
The one at Sportsman's Lodge, the Franklin County boat ramp.
The
one
Indian
in
Creek?
Or the one at the end of,
What's the street?
I think it's the one right there.
Yeah,
We-
Old Ferry Dock Road.
I guess right there, he called me last night. Ferry Dock,
Okay.
The one in the creek is being rebuilt completely and widened with one of our NERDA projects.
Yeah.
When's
That's
it gonna
under
be
state
done?
control now, so I mean, we can do some minor work there, but we're gonna get state money to fix that. The old ferry dock one at the end of the ramp, I mean, it gets.
well, I'll call him as soon as I get out and find out which one.
Tell him to give me a call, Commissioner.
He pulled his axles out from under his trailer yesterday evening over there. Yeah, he called me. He snatched them out.
Okay.
He said when he fell off the end of the boat ramp, went to drag it back up and the boat trailer went too far and just snatched it
Probably the one in
off.
the creek, I'll be honest with you, because the
Yeah.
other one usually fills up with mud and you
Yeah,
can't launch that.
it probably is the one in the creek. He said right there at Sportsman's Lodge, but I'll contact him. Anybody have any questions for Michael?
I've got one thing that I want done on this segment of the meeting. There's gonna be some legislation on the TDC, on the Tourist Development Council stuff, and Commissioner Watson has some contacts. So I'm gonna make a motion that we allow Commissioner Watson to make contact on behalf of the board on this legislation with TDC, and come back with us with a report and when we need to stand on it.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's it,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Michael.
Thank you.
You have anything, Michael?
Just for the record, I am giving to the clerk the original sales order agreement with Exhibits A, B, and C. This is a sales order agreement for the elections equipment with ES&S, and then also the original memorandum of understanding with ES&S, just for the clerk's records. But other than that, I have nothing for the board.
Any public comments?
I'd like to make a comment too.
Okay. You next.
Mr. Morone, would you hand this to
I sure will.
commissioners, please? Thank you so much. Now, what they're about to hand you is a flyer from last year, the MLK event. And it is advertised as the Franklin County Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. And it has continued 28 years. Next year will be the 29th year continuously. You will receive a formal invitation. I've already gone to see Miss Marcia, had a very pleasant conversation with her. I know that Commissioner Lockley has been there any number of times. However, I think it only appropriate for our commissioners, other commissioners, to attend as well. You may not agree, and that's okay. However, since the name is Franklin County's Dr. Martin Luther King celebration, the board, the advisory board, would like for you to consider attending January the 18th, 11 o'clock at the historical Chapman Auditorium. As I said, you will receive your formal invitation between now and the end of the month. The advisory board would also like to thank you for making available the Armory as well as the Chapman Auditorium this year for the event, and it has grown. We have speakers and those in attendance coming from as far away as New York, North Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Bay County, Liberty County, just all over. It's not something that's just held in a box. So we just invite you to come and represent the commission. And on the other page is, we would also like for you to co-sponsor this event, since the sponsors of this event down through the years have either been our community churches, other individuals, and that's it. That's it. So would you please consider being a co-sponsor of your county's Dr. Martin Luther King celebration? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
I want to make a motion on that when they get through.
Go ahead.
Oh, she said a co-sponsor. I want to make a motion. We check the TDC out, since they have people coming in to that event, and they having the money to help them out with that program, with that event that they have people traveling in and out. They staying in motels.
Have they applied for a grant? Is there a grant procedure?
Yeah, that's what I'm making arrangements to do now.
There's a small county grant application process. There's a lot of it. I mean, this is better or bad news, but I don't know that.
I know the TDC is giving out all the money on the small county grants, but request it,
Yeah.
and we'll see what we can do.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We'll see what we can do.
All right, give us time, Mr. Latham.
Commissioners, how are y'all? I want to come up and make you aware of what's going on in the bay, and I don't think it's any secret that we're doing the shelling projects, but there's a bid that's coming up. It's supposed to be let tomorrow, and it's going to be introducing as a material, as an alternate material, instead of fossilized shell, it's going to be a high-cal limestone. The one thing about this limestone is we don't have any data on how this material is going to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve, which is a maximum spat recruitment, spat set, as well as reduce the effects of mortality rate on these oyster beds in the bay. Ms. Cheryl, I think you touched earlier on, when you were talking about the Restore Act, you've got some beds out there that are not producing.
They're not.
All right, well, they're not producing. Well, we've got this material, this fossilized shell, and I can say that I have talked to a lot of the marine biologists that are very well, they're down, they're counting spat, monitoring the ongoing reefs and the shelling projects. And, you know, to take a foreign material and use it in place of a product that you know works and that you have historically used either processed shell or you've used fossilized shell. For whatever reason, and I'm not sure, they are introducing the high-cal material into the bay because they have a little bit of money left. Now, I can say this, your spat recruitment on the material that's going out there right now is at about, from what I understand, 3,000 per quarter meter. And that's on the fossilized shell. I mean, that's the spat recruitment. Now, once that spat sets, it's got a 24-hour period, and the angularity as well as the dark space that's created with the fossilized shell, it creates a bed that promotes the oyster's growth. Better, we're actually finding out through the studies that green shell is, of course, the processed shell that you get from your restaurant, stuff like that, straight out of the bay, shuck it, goes back in the bay. Processed shell has always been historically used here in the bay. Fossilized shells just come here lately. The fossilized shell, fossilized shell's been used throughout all, back as far as 30 years. But here lately, we've started some really good shelling projects, and these projects, they're finding out that they're getting about the same spat recruitment with fossilized shell that they are on processed shell, but one thing that they're finding out with the fossilized shell is that the survivability of the spat is increased substantially, meaning you get spat recruitment about the same 1-to-1 on fossilized shell versus green shell, but then as they get up big enough, around about the size of your thumbnail, it starts to attract other species, which is, redfish, sheephead, stuff like that. They're natural predators. All right. The fossilized shell is giving the spat an actual, how do I say this, is a better chance of survival. And I don't think that you're going to be able to get that with limestone. We don't know because limestone's never been used in the bay for this type of project. And I guess I'm here before you today to say, I want you to be aware of it. It's not something I think you should be even contemplating. You've got a source of fossilized shell, and you also have sources of shuck shell. Now, this material has been, it is specific. It's not normal limestone. It is high calcium, but it's north of Mariana. A quarry out of North Mariana, but I can say with certainty this bay out here is one of the most sensitive ecosystems within the Gulf of Mexico, and by introducing a cheaper, inferior product is definitely an irresponsible way of managing this bay. Apalachicola Bay up in Virginia, Chesapeake Bay, they are the most sensitive areas in the country. this one right here is sitting right off our Gulf Coast, right off our coast. You've got fossilized shell up there, up 67. There's one mine there. There's fixing to be another mine there. So everybody else in the country is looking for fossilized shell to do these shelling projects and these oyster cults depositions. They're not really aware that we're here, but here we are right here in the county, and we're going to be shipping in a foreign material. I mean, this material is yellow in color. I've seen it. It's got very little bits and pieces of shell. It's held together by almost like a dolomitic sandstone. I've seen the test scores, and I can say that I'm a little questioning about those, but why would you even want to consider it when you have a source right here within your own county?
Chris, you said that, Mr. Chairman, Chris, you said that there's going to be a second source of it. Where is that at?
It's going to be right in the Rock Landing area, west.
That's what I told you. I thought
Rock Landing?
Rock Landing. Yeah.
Well, who gonna make the final decision about buying this? I mean, they ain't told us nothing.
It's the Department of Agriculture right now, and it's from what I understand, it's the local oysterman. One issue that I do have is the fact that this Department of Agriculture has, and the Division of Aquaculture right here up by the marina, they were doing one in Panama City, approximately 25,000 tons. Then they have one coming up in Pensacola. The local oysterman went over and met with the oysterman over in Gulf County, Panama City area, and they said, no, we don't want that material. It doesn't even look like shell. We want material that's either fossilized shell or green shell. And they said no. Well, now it comes back over here, and they got this little 4,000 ton project, and all of a sudden, I've got the bid right here with me. It's been added through some local pressure and some uninformed individuals, but they've added it as a alternate material. And
Just time out a minute.
okay,
Kim Bodine and Jim Estes gets the money for the shelling program. Once they get the shelling money for the program, Shannon Hartsville's been handling or whoever. But now I talked with Shannon Hartsville, he said Timmy Butler buys the shells. He's the one who gets the bids on the shells and all.
what I'm saying is, William,
I understand what you're saying, that you don't want us to put limestone in the bay.
I don't want you to allow it.
I mean, allow it, but I would have to have a meeting would have to get Jim Estes, Michael would be,
This is not our contract.
it's not our
Is
contract,
this-
what I'm saying.
I got a, is this the
the
contract with the
contract.
barge, or is this the contract with the individual workers that are shelling?
This is
They're
Kim-
they're two separate
This is
contracts.
Kim Bodine's.
It don't really matter how it's dispersed in the bay. You can plant shredded rubber tires in the bay and they'll grow oysters. But you can't tong it, and when you put a petroleum product in our bay, which we don't want.
Right.
But yeah, will it attach oysters? Absolutely. That's not what we want in our bay. And that's what this man is trying to convey, and I don't know him, I've never met him. I'm just telling you, I got concerns about it myself. Now, do we have the authority to stop it? Can we write a letter suggesting we don't want that in our bay?
We can-
I'm opposed to putting limestone or lime rock in our bay, myself. It's something we ain't never done. And like I said, you can you can take old trees that's been cut down and put out there, and spat will attach to it. You can take pallets out of an oyster house and put out there, and spat will attach to it. But you can't tong a pallet,
Can't.
That's
and
what
you
I
can't
told
tong a tree. I mean, so there's certain things you can do that will grow oysters, but it's not advantageous for us to be putting that kind of stuff in our bay. And it's not gonna be for the benefit, the long-range benefit of the people in this area that make their living off the bay. Having said that, I understand that the SMART group voted to allow them to put this stuff in the bay. Is that correct, William?
I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I told
See,
you,
I haven't seen the material. If
I
I
haven't
had
seen
seen
it.
the material myself, I'd be a little bit more vocal in making my stance. I have not seen the material.
well, Commissioner, like you just stated, spat will attach to anything.
A
All right?
clean substrate. It could be a number of different chemicals.
Well, it'll attach to any material that's in the water.
Right.
All right?
If it's
But-
clean,
But
it
if it's,
attaches
but if
better.
it's not the right material, it will stunt its growth, okay? You know, you've seen them little coon oysters on the side of tires. all right? But what you're trying to do with these shelling projects is you're going in and trying to restore damaged bays, damaged areas, and bars. These bars are open for harvestation. You're wanting to provide a material that's going to not only restore that bar, but it's also going to have a quicker spat set, a greater spat recruitment.
I know all that, but I'm just trying.
Well, that's what I'm saying is you don't want to allow a limestone that's going to be in a,
I've been to every one of them meetings. We can write a letter. What I'm saying, we haven't been had no say-so what's going in it. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm all with you on it's going to destroy it and hurt it, but we didn't have no say-so. Are you available ready to put the shell down when they do that 4,000?
not in the 4,000 because I can't bid on it because I haven't got my test scores back.
Okay.
But Commissioner, I can say this. With a hot topic such as this would be the first time I've ever seen the Franklin County Commission not voice their opinion about it.
Well, that's the first time I knew about it. I mean,
Well, I'm talking about a hot topic issue like this. I'm not saying this particular issue. What I'm saying is I'm hearing you say that you can't do anything about it. I'm hearing you
we don't
say
have
that
no
loud.
say-so. We not over it.
We've been told we don't have no say-so in it.
No, we can write a letter and tell
We
them we
can
don't
write a
want,
letter if you
don't
want.
want that like Mr. Smokey said. We can write a letter and do that for you.
Well, it's not just for me, it's for the Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm up here for the Bay. And I'm up here for the people because I can tell you right now, you're going to go out there and you're going to put this material down on a bar and it's not going to produce the oysters like you want.
There was a conversation between two gentlemen over the weekend that I was just over in my vehicle and I was overhearing what they were saying and one conversation the man said, "Did you hear?" He said, "I just heard." He said, "They're gonna try to put lime rock in the bay out there." This other gentleman said, "So-and-so, they've been putting lime rock out there in the bay the whole time." He said, "Did you know that?" He said, "No, I didn't know it." But yeah, I knew it. Everybody, I mean, that's what it
Fossilized shell is
is.
just
We
one
have
step away from
complained
lime.
about it.
Well, first of all,
We
the
complained about it.
Division of Aquaculture and the Department of Agriculture.
And we have no,
They have never put
absolutely
lime
no
rock
over.
into the bay. They have absolutely no studies on lime rock in the last 30 years because they've never used it for an oyster cults deposition.
We'll get them to make a motion to write a letter. That we don't want that, whatever, I mean, to do it.
I mean, the debate that should have happened at the SMART group, which is the community, which is the industry, local representation to decide.
By everybody.
By everybody. I mean, you know, we're getting part of the story here, and so it's kind of, it's putting us at, we don't know what to do. I mean, you're telling us one thing, but the SMART group has evaluated this thing and apparently voted on it, and they might have had a presentation. I don't know if they did or not.
I don't either.
That's what I'm telling you. You tell me one thing, they tell me this is going down there. That's what I'm saying. We'll have to get y'all together to see what's going on.
I make a motion.
He's selling them.
I understand. I make a motion that we write the Department of Agriculture, Cal Knickerbocker, tell them that we have concerns about using alternative materials, and we need to be better educated about the issue.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We just made a motion to write them a letter. Yes, sir.
Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens, Franklin County. I just need to make a correction. On the Healthcare Trust Fund is not included on the balance sheet. I misspoke on that issue. Just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Any more public comments? Any more?
I just wanted to make a comment. This is the second month of me being appointed, and I wanted to thank the county staff and the constitutional officers and Michael for bringing me up to speed. I was amazed the number of issues that come before the commission. And from the outside, it looked like it was a commission that didn't get along, but being here, I have a lot of respect for each of you. I kind of feel like I've been on a honeymoon because most of the issues that come before us are unanimous. There will be issues that are not, and I have a great deal of respect for each of you.
Thank you.
Philistine.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I have one question. On the paving project, can the sidewalk be put on done with the paving project?
Well, I mean, it's really some of your discretion because it's your money. It's no state money, it's your money. We have looked at paving as asphalt. Now, is a sidewalk within the right of way? Yes, it's within the right of way. So, I mean, I
Won't you just
refer to some
get
other
it
people.
paved over there? Well,
Pave
but.
it. You do a
won't you
sidewalk
just
out of
pave
pavement.
it? Well, she's got those wrong.
Now,
Well,
you can't just do that without
Can't
going
do
through the
that.
city of
Can't do
Appalachia.
that.
I had to do one block.
Well, I wouldn't want to pave that one section with asphalt, but everything else is.
If you do it the wrong way, then if there's a liability issue, it's gonna
Yeah.
come back to the county and
You're
not to the
right.
city.
You're right.
It's a
That's
drainage
what-
problem out there too. See, that's part of the problem, there's a drainage
And
problem.
if you create a worse drainage problem, then you're liable for that.
Yeah.
It's a city problem and they need to address it.
Won't you,
Okay.
won't you have, I mean, it's a city problem, but contact the city, maybe contact the city, and then if you get some kind of agreement there about, send Clay out there to look at it and see what he
Well,
might
they have
think.
their own engineering firm that's more familiar
Well,
with the
have
city
them-
projects. Let their
ask them
engineer
to
look at it.
send their own
and
engineering firm
maybe
out
the
there.
city and the county can come to a financing arrangement where both parties, maybe we contribute some financing to a plan that they come up with. That would be a way of structuring the project that protects the county from a liability standpoint, because all we would be doing is limited to offering to provide funds if they can come up with a funding source of their own, maybe a 50-50 match and a plan that their engineer draws up.
Okay, all right.
Any
Just a
more
question.
comments?
I just want, I received a letter, and I think Commissioner Watson had all of you on my recent letter. The DOT is working on a project on Island Drive, which is a sidewalk project, and the plans are complete. Clay Smallwood has them, they sent them to him. The project is not one being designed by the county or any money that's being spent by the county. It's on a sidewalk or bike path on the east side of Island Drive going to the bridge. At some point, it crosses over somewhere, because I saw there was a crossover at some point. But the county is still working on another bike path on South Bay Shore, so there are two sidewalks in case anyone.
Separate projects, in case anybody asks.
Meeting adjourned till December the 15th.
Take care, Bell.
Here, baby. 10 o'clock.